We have a great show right now. We have from South Korea, Tommy Razorstein, and we will be discussing myself, Don Juan Banks, Enter the Arena, Nick Diaz, 5-year suspension, banned from mixed martial arts because of his the level of marijuana in his system. Um, right now, there is a petition out that has reached its goal and will go to the White House. President Barack Obama has to give a response. But things are looking very bleak for Nick Diaz. And Tommy, before we get your opinion on this very, very challenging situation for this young man, we want to read the article so people can understand exactly what's going on. Because Tommy Razorstein's about to speak about this in just a couple of minutes. So don't go anywhere. Listen, coming from MMA fighting, you think potheads can't get motivated? Think again. And that's a very low blow to him, Nick Diaz. First, there's been an outpouring of public support for UFC welterweight Nick Diaz since being bounced from MMA by the Nevada State Athletic Commission with a 5-year competition ban. Now, a fan of the Stockton Slugger has started a GoFundMe campaign to help him pay the whopping $165,000 fine that accompanied the lengthy suspension. The description on the crowdsourcing page is an uncommunicative as Diaz. To help Nick Diaz pay the $165,000 fine from the Nevada State Athletic Commission in the event his fine is dropped or reduced, the unused funds will be donated to charity. The campaign has raised $50 in a few hours, just $164,950 to go. Diaz has been appreciative of the support on social media, thanking fans and share. Okay, and we're talking about the share from music for helping his White House. Yes, petition reach 100,000 signature mark required to get in response from President Barack Obama. The troubles also began when Diaz popped for marijuana metabolites for the third time in his career following his UFC 183 tilt with the legendary Anderson Silva, who also has had his own share of problems. While Silva received a 1-year suspension as a first offender of using steroids, performance enhancement drugs, Diaz was handed down an unprecedented sentence by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, 5 long years. Diaz has made a professional MMA record of 26-10, 7-7 in the UFC, and has dropped his last 3 fights inside of the octagon, which many people thought he won those fights. His last fight against Silva was overturned and deemed a no contest. So that means, Tommy Razorstein, that Nick Diaz did not lose to Anderson Silva. The petition has been signed with 100 signatures and sent to the White House of President Barack Obama from the Nevada State Athletic Commission, banning him for 5 years. Without any further ado, live from South Korea, the best MMA analyst on YouTube today, Tommy Razorstein.
What's up, Don? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
I want Nick Diaz's ban to be lifted.
Yes.
That's my dream. That's my dream. A 5-year ban, that's insanity. It's not fair, man. That's not fair. That's ridiculous. You can say, oh, well, life's not fair. But you know what? It's insane. There's a difference between things not being fair and things being completely insane. And that's what it is. That's what it really comes down to.
Yep.
5-year ban on someone like Nick Diaz for smoking pot, that's ridiculous. And all it's going to do is just piss off all the other fighters. All it's really going to do is just, infuriate the fans. And they're going to want to push back harder and say, you know what? What's wrong with smoking some pot and training? You know what I mean? I think it's going to raise awareness in issues like this, where it's like, why is he getting banned for 5 years? Why is that so terrible that he got caught smoking pot to begin with, where he got banned for 5 years? I don't see what the
Five
problem is.
years, Tommy Razorstein.
And that's Nick Diaz too. That's what he does for a living. I mean, that's who he is as a person. It's Nick Diaz. He's not going to get a different job. That's his life.
He's a fucking fighter. That's all he knows. He even said he would knock out those guys in the Nevada State Athletic Commission if he could. And that's a bold statement because you're talking to people who run sports. When you make a comment like that, they are going to want to make an example of you, Razorstein. Do you feel that Nick Diaz was too rebelling too much? Was he too defiant?
No, I don't think he's too defiant. I think it's what happens when you push, that far. When you decide to say, you know what, I'm going to put someone in a 5-year ban position. People are going to push back. You know what I mean? This is what happens. When you push that far, people are going to start to push back. And that's what's occurring right now. You're seeing a backlash. People saying, you know what, why the hell is there so many people in prison for smoking pot? Why is it that, this is occurring? And they're starting to change in state by state, slowly. People are starting to adapt to marijuana and saying, it's really not that bad. It's,
Exactly.
It's not that bad.
This is bullshit. The Nevada State Athletic Commission with Floyd Mayweather, he got a therapeutic use exemption after 18 days, and he had used the intravenous IV in his home with 750 milliliters, which he violated the World Anti-Doping Agency code of conduct, and the Nevada State Athletic Commission didn't give him any fine. He also went in front of the Nevada State Athletic Commission for lying about his show. They didn't give him they didn't give him a sentence or a fine. Anderson Silva used steroids, and they gave him 1 year. They gave Chael Sonnen 2 years. I mean, they gave breaks to so many people, but they are not giving a break to Nick Diaz. Do you think he got? So some people say he had a break already. He was allowed to fight after 2 times being caught. This is the 3rd time. 3 strikes, you're out.
No.
That this is different.
This is different.
Why?
This is a new world. This is a new world we live in. You know what I mean? There's a lot of states out there that are going along with medical marijuana. There's 4 states.
Okay.
Are saying it's okay to have recreational marijuana. It's a changing world right now, and things got to change. It's outdated times that have to change with the times. Times are changing, always changing. And you know what? The rules got to change and adapt with it. You have these out-of-date assholes, these old farts who are just sitting around saying, well, an athlete should be like this. An athlete should be like that. Fuck you, asshole. You ain't an athlete. You've never been an athlete. You sit in your position and say, this is what athletes should be like. Fuck you. You don't know shit. You know what? And they've really, have this misconception of life. And I can't fathom how these people can sleep at night giving a 5-year ban for someone who just, smoked pot. That's ridiculous. Let him smoke pot.
Tommy Razorstein, you're absolutely right, man. I couldn't agree with you more. This is a different world that we live in. Marijuana is so close to being legalized. Diaz should not face a 5-year ban. Diaz was involved in a fight recently at another show with Nurmagomedov, and the Diaz brothers had this big giant fight.
Now that attracts negative attention towards himself. He shouldn't be attracting negative attention towards himself like that. And there's a certain attitude that Nick Diaz does have, and it kind of rubs people the wrong way. It's not that George St. Pierre attitude where he's the glory boy, and people want to go behind him and support him. Whereas Diaz has this problem almost with authority, and seems like a menace to some people. But the thing is this: he's not good at verbally defending himself. He's not good at articulating himself, and he's just not able. It's like a disability. I think they're viewing him as an asshole, and I not like someone like John Jones who crashes his car into a pregnant woman and flees the sea with cocaine, multiple felonies and all sorts of crazy shit. No, that's ridiculous. But this is somebody I personally believe he has a hard time articulating himself. He has a hard time, communicating himself with the culture. So he goes in front of these people. He can't really explain himself that well. But if he was able to attack, go at these people like he's able to go at fighters in his realm, for example, he's not that good at articulating himself, but he's a brilliant jiu-jitsu specialist, right?
Yeah.
So these people who are laying down the law, these people are that good at speaking, as good as him in jiu-jitsu. So it's really not fair. It's just completely out of their element, just like they're out of his element. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they're really beating up on somebody who really can't explain himself and articulate himself and doesn't come across as this smart guy. And it's not fair. It's really not.
It's totally not fair. Do you think Nick Diaz can get this appealed? Because I want to tell you right now, I don't think he can get it appealed. I thought you told me you feel he's going to get it appealed.
I think it will be. I don't see him being out for 5 years. I think the fans will want him back. They won't forget him. It isn't someone they'll say, who cares? No, people will want him back.
I think he'll be back in a year or two.
Paul Harris. Remember that guy, Paul Harris, who just got released. I don't know if he got released, but he got stripped of his title. Sorry, he got stripped of his title at the WSOF. He was breaking people's legs and tearing ligaments and shit, and the ref was like coming in and stopping the fight.
Yeah, he's the guy that fought
yep. Jake Shields. So yeah, and he wouldn't stop, and the ref came over and had to push him, and Jake's like, "What the hell's going on? This guy's a fucking maniac." I could see that. That's fucked up. And that guy was released from the UFC, and nobody had a problem with that because that's a sick maniac. Someone to go and keep working a submission and try and break someone's leg, try and rip someone's Achilles tendon, try and end someone's career after they already won the fight. They're already declared the winner, but the guy still wants to fucking ruin someone's career. That's a sick maniac. Yep. And those are the people who look bad and make the sport look bad. So I can understand if they throw the book at someone like that, and the fans won't rally behind someone like that. The fans won't say, "Hey, you know what? We got to stand behind this fucking psychopath." No, the fans in the UFC are pretty good. As soon as John Jones hit that woman, there was a lot of haters before, and now there's a lot more. But there's a lot of people also supporting John Jones and saying, John Jones is a great guy. But after he hit that woman, they're all like, "Oh, fuck him."
Well, the thing about that situation also was the fact that we called it before it happened. See, we don't just give you predictions on the fights. We give you predictions about their personal lives. And that's what you get here. Like, let's do the fans a little favor. Let's give them an early birthday gift. We all know, and we're going to get right back on the topic at hand with Nick Diaz, but to weigh in very briefly in this video, Tommy, about Ronda Rousey and Travis Browne. It's a Um, it has all the elements for combustion, and it's very easy to see.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can they prove us wrong? We'll see. But Razorstein, give these people some knowledge on that personal situation there in an intimate sexual relationship.
Into a sexual relationship between Rhonda and
Travis Brown, tell
Travis
me,
Brownie.
tell me how you feel that's going to play out.
Well, I'm not a big fan of Travis Brownie.
Yep.
Beating on women, that's not cool.
Hmm.
I've heard
Because that's how you take it.
that's not cool. I mean, no
Now
matter
you
how
now
you do it,
you
no
know you're
one likes
gonna have
that.
now, Tommy. I want to warn you right now. You're going to get people riled up because they're going to tell you right now how you know he hit his ex-wife.
Accused of it.
Okay, let's just play along, huh? Like a playground game.
All right, accused of it. I didn't see it. I wasn't there. Right? He was accused. People have been accused before, but let's say this: he's not doing too good right now in his career, and like he might be a sinking ship.
Oh my God, Tom.
So the heavyweight division is trash, and I don't see how he's gonna make it in the limelight with Ronda. I just don't see that. Put it that way.
Now, Tommy, I don't know if you know, but her autobiography came out, and her
Hmm.
ex-boyfriend, she details lucidly, clearly, precisely how she proceeded to whip his ass because he took new pictures of her and she felt he was a pervert. It was on his computer.
Yeah, Ronda doesn't like that shit.
Now she beat him up. Now, if Brown did do these severe allegations where the UFC basically got him out of the situation, and they didn't even feel it was that uh, he wasn't a popular enough superstar fighter in the UFC, so they didn't even really you know have to release all this information and stuff about it. Now, like if that happened to Conor McGregor, it would be all over the news. When it happened to Anthony Johnson, we heard about it. Okay, but with Travis Brown, we didn't know because, like you said, Tommy, he's not that big. Only real casual fans know he was a contender when he fought Verdum, and that was a fight where he was one fight away from fighting Kane.
Yeah.
And you told me, Tommy, that you never seen someone with the aggressiveness as Travis Brown because of the way he rained down those elbows on Josh Barnett.
I don't know if it was the most aggressive person I've ever seen. I don't know. I can't say that, but
But you
he
felt
was
the
doing.
aggression.
I felt that he was capitalizing on something that a lot of people were missing, and that was the elbows off the side of the neck.
Yes, yes.
And it was like, wow, this is a big deal. Maybe it's his height, maybe it's his it's a new thing that people are going to start using, and they're going to switch their stance when they're stuck up against a cage, and they're going to start using elbows. And when he did that, I was like, ooh, this guy's dangerous, and this guy could be someone special. And he had a chance, and I just don't see it anymore.
Listen, Tommy, it was a big modification and change to Travis Brown's camp,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the esteemed Greg Jackson. He removed himself from their camp. How much of a factor does Greg Jackson, who you say is the master of game plans, play into the maturation of a fighter and to continue the future of their career without him? The future of their career without him. How
I think
much of an effect?
he's the master of game plans. He's able to take someone who's mediocre and bring them to greatness. So without that ability of having Greg Jackson, that's I don't know, man. I don't see where he'll be able to be a champion, or I don't see him being one of the best anymore. I just don't. I don't see it. At one point I did. And it's like he's gonna out Ronda. I don't see that working out. I just don't. Sorry, I just don't. I don't see
I gotta
him.
agree with you.
I don't see that working. That relationship, really working out right. Brendan Shaw, maybe I could see it better, but her with that guy, I think that would be a fling. And like that'll break his heart, and he'll have a hard time riding that roller coaster, and he may not like being, playing second fiddle. So,
and it always happens. It always happens. And I know this might sound like gossip, but that happened with Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. Whitney Houston was this big star, and Bobby Brown, his career fell off, and he was always in the background. And you get mad at things like that, and that can lead to the domestic dispute, the domestic violence. And Ronda, that's why you like Ronda so much, because she is not a bitch. Okay, she may fight him and she may lose and never tell anybody about it. She could get beat up. She could get beat up. Make no mistake about it. As strong as she is, and as strong as the things that she can do, he's a heavyweight male fighter. Okay, and even if she gets a throw off, he has to be like intoxicated for her to be able to, do what she do. But domestic dispute.
Yeah, he's just too big. He's just too big.
But then also it can go another way. What about Brown fears, being accused of domestic violence, and she's beating him, and he's not saying nothing about it?
It could be.
It could. It's so many ways that this can go, but I just know it is not going to go on forever. This may last a month. It may last a year. It may last years. But this is going to end badly, and they will never forget this video that we're doing.
Yeah,
and we said it about John Jones. We said it about John Jones. We said this was going to happen.
Jones is easy, even though a lot of people didn't see it. I thought it was easy to see. And you know what? You may be hating on me. I might get a lot of haters for saying this, but I could see it happening with Conor McGregor, where it's just, I don't know, man. I don't like how much shit he's talking. I think he's causing too many fucking problems. I think that could be a big problem. He spends a shit ton of money. He talks a lot of trash, and people are going to want to chase him and fight him forever, making a name for themselves. It might end up bad for Conor McGregor. He talks a lot of trash. He talks trash out of his weight class, lower and higher. He's crazy, dude, for doing that shit. People are going to want to chase him and make a name for themselves fighting Conor McGregor. And then the way Conor, spends his money, buying a car that's like $500,000, $250,000, or $500,000, it's insane. Mm-hmm. You go out and you buy a car like that, well, you better keep winning. You better win every single fight. It's not like, he's an NBA player or some shit who makes, $60 million. Now, he doesn't make that much. So, he's positioning himself where he's gonna have to win all these fights. And once you get knocked out, you start losing that chin. It's gonna be real hard for Conor when he becomes older. I really don't like what could happen with Conor McGregor.
My thing with Conor McGregor is I hear where you're coming from, Razorstein, but I feel he's going to beat Aldo and I feel he's going to ride a wave. But I do think that I think that he doesn't have to, call all these people out. I think he's popular enough to focus on one. Aldo. He should just focus on Aldo right now. You know how Floyd Mayweather will always say that I'm focused on the fight that's in front of him. Like if he's going to fight Pacquiao, I'm focused on Pacquiao. If I'm going to fight Berto, I'm focused on Berto. That's all he has to say. Like Chael would focus on Anderson. He would focus on Bisbing. He would focus on John Jones when he turned his attention to them. But he wasn't, like talking bad about a lot of people, a bunch of people. He would say a bunch of stuff about some people, but it kind of really just, I don't know if you really want to live life like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was talking shit to fucking everyone at the press conference. That one press conference where he was at, it was ridiculous. He's talking shit to fucking Donald Cerrone, and then he's saying how he'll fight the champ at 155 out of his weight class, and then he'll fight the current champ in his weight class, Jose Aldo, and then he'll fight T.J. Dillashaw, and it's just, oh my god, dude, you're calling out all these people.
They coming for him.
People are gonna come for you, dude.
He has to be on top of his game, and
eventually you're gonna get old, dude. You're gonna get old, and
we saw some flaws.
It's not like basketball or baseball where you strike out and you're not on your game anymore. You strike out, and all right, you don't end your career as that great. This is fucking cage fighting. You know what I mean? You don't want to end your career bad cage fighting. You end your career bad playing basketball or baseball or fucking swimming or something. It's not the end of the world. You fucking end up with brain problems because you've been calling out all these people and all these people want to fight you now. That's not the way you want to end your life or end your career.
Well, only the future will decide what's going to happen with the notorious Conor McGregor, but give the fans a little treat right now, Razorstein. Who you got, Aldo or McGregor?
You know what? I might take McGregor.
Make it official.
I think I'm gonna take McGregor.
I got McGregor. Why?
Reason being is I think that it's going to be hard not to derail. It's going to be hard to derail this Conor McGregor train. It's full steam right now. Now, what I was talking about previous, with Conor McGregor is like at the end of his career. But right now, it's going to be really hard to derail this fucking thing. Yeah, it's on fire right now. But I don't know if it's going to be like that forever. Could be, but I doubt it. But right now, plus if
Tom, you have a little bit of noise in your background. It's like a tapping noise. I don't know. Is it you typing?
Maybe it's my fan.
Oh, it's your fan? Okay. It's
Is that better?
Yeah, a very technical difficulty. Yes, now that is perfect. Thank you so much. Well, now they came back a little bit.
Okay.
Now I think maybe as it turns, it I don't know if it's a turning that is causing that. Is it knocking against something?
I'm not sure. Is it okay now?
It sounds way better.
All right. Might have been that.
Tom, well, let's switch the subject to this because we want to just cover all these topics while we got each other because we both of us work a very vicious schedule and it's hard for us to get to so many topics, so we might as well go over it live while we're on the air. I wanted to. Okay, let's see. Wow, I'm trying to screen share, but it has me somewhere else. Well, the topic that I wanted to discuss is I heard, and I'm going to try to pull this up. Dan Henderson had basically said that he would be Vitor Belfort without even if he is on steroids.
Huh.
If he is on drugs, I'm sorry. Here go right here. It says Dan Henderson, Ultimate Fight Night 77. I'm beating Vitor Belfort regardless of him being on drugs or not. That is a very bold statement, Tommy. Let's just read partially this article. Partially. Dan Henderson is as stoic as mixed martial arts fighters come. The 45-year-old Ultimate Fighting Championship Strikeforce and Pride FC veteran has endured a brutal, albeit highly successful MMA career, capturing titles in almost every organization he's called home. Now the longtime leader of the Team Quest Fight Camp will compete in his 45th professional fight. I'm definitely a better fighter now, Henderson told MMA Fighting. Obviously, I'm a little bit older as well, as I'm sure certain things are a little slower. But for the most part, I'm a much better fighter than I was then. I feel that I'm still as powerful and dangerous as I was then. It will also be a trilogy fight against the former UFC light heavyweight title holder Vitor Belfort, who most recently blitzed Hendo with a vicious head kick, albeit while competing on testosterone replacement therapy at UFC Fight Night 32 in November 2013. Henderson is familiar with the topic of TRT, having also been on a regimen in the past, with the USADA, United States Anti-Doping Agency, overseeing the drug testing of UFC hundreds of combatants since July. He'll happily bring the fight to the Phenom in Brazil, despite previously saying he wouldn't travel to enemy territory. It definitely helps out of competition drug testing with no more advanced notice, Henderson said. That's something I had in my life for a long time, being on the national Olympic team for wrestling in the United States. For 15 years, I was subject to it. I'm beating Vitor regardless of him being on drugs or not. I'm still capable of beating him, and I'm happy that the UFC has implemented its drug testing, something that I've been asking for a long time. While what would be remiss if we failed to acknowledge Henderson's struggles in Zuffa. Now, since November 2011, he has posted a less than stellar 3-5 octagon record. Belfort, on the other hand, has run rugshot over the majority of the 185-pound division, ranking up wins over the likes of Michael Bisping, Luke Rockhold, and Dan Henderson, all in 2013. The Brazilian bomber, who's known for his physique, recently made headlines for a failed 2012 drug test, which took place right before he replaced Henderson on short notice in a light heavyweight title fight versus John Jones at UFC 152 in September of that year, meaning Vitor Belfort Razorstein was on performance enhancement drugs when he fought John Jones. And I'm going to finish the article. Should Henderson best his middleweight counterpart at UFC Fight Night 77 inside Ginásio do Ibirapuera in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and I apologize if I mispronunciated anything, on November 7th, 2015, it would give him back-to-back victories for the first time and for years. He beat Tim Bosch in his last fight. It would also give him an important distinction, having won a trilogy matchup over a fighter who is one fight removed from a title shot, with that being said, Henderson isn't exactly keen on a title opportunity in a hurry. Right now, I'm just focused on Vitor, Henderson said. If I beat him up pretty handily, I'm sure that helps. But at this point, the only thing I care about is beating Vitor. Tommy Razorstein, you have so much knowledge on Vitor Belfort and him using performance enhancement drugs and using the name God. And you had went in on him on some shows we did on Into the Arena main channel that's not up anymore. But you had basically predicted all of this happening with the steroid failed test coming to the surface. And would blatantly using performance enhancement drugs and using his name.
I just missed the whole thing. You caught up. You cut off.
I apologize. We're going to repeat that again. You had basically predicted all of this happening. You said that Belfort, and I'm not using this in a derogatory manner with all due respect, was going around talking about God being the reason why he was winning these fights, when in all actuality it was him injecting himself with performance enhancement drugs. The 2012 failed drug test came to the surface, and we found out that he was on performance enhancement drugs when he fought John Jones, and he has used the testosterone replacement therapy, and his physique looks completely different from when he was using performance enhancement drugs. What is your entire opinion of Vitor?
The thing with Vitor is he's crazy, and you really can't take him serious. And the reason I say he's crazy is because he was saying all sorts of crazy stuff on how this, that, and the other thing, on how he's getting a second comeback. In reality, it was just drugs. And I think the drugs were affecting his mental state as well as his body, too.
Oh, my God.
So I had to question, how his physical physique changed. I assume that correlates with the same with his mental ability, too. I mean, I think he's crazy. So, I can't, bet on Vitor Belfort passing any drug tests, though, anytime soon. He may pass one. I doubt it. He's nuts. He's nuts, dude. So I don't even want to think about, what's going to happen with that, because I don't know if he's going to pass the drug test to begin with. If he doesn't pass the drug test, it's pointless to even think about. And Dan Henderson's 45 years old now. And I don't know if he can be fighting younger people. Both of them been in, the MMA business for a long time. I mean, Vitor got in when he was still a teenager. It's crazy. So they've been in the fight game for a long time. And I think it would be good for Dan Henderson to walk away. He walks away with the remaining teeth that he has in his head, with his brain intact, with his nose somewhat, normal, and he signs autographs. He does T-shirts. Maybe he does he does UFC expos, or has a bar in his hometown or something. People just come in and talk to him about UFC, and that'd be awesome. I would love to see someone walk away at the status of what Dan Henderson has now and just say, I'm at my top. I don't need to do this anymore. And that's how I feel. That might not be the answer the fans want to hear, that you want to see someone walk away from that, but that's me. I want to see someone, a legacy, walk away and say, look what I created. I know I didn't get the last title. He got the title in Pride, and he got the title in Strike Force, and he doesn't have the last one in UFC, which would have been great. But he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. You know what I mean?
I like what you're breaking down.
The only thing if I don't know if you can possibly do it. I have to see how tall he is and everything. But man, what if he could put on like 40 pounds of muscle?
He
And he could
has done
fight a
it before.
heavyweight.
Remember when he fought Fedor?
Yeah, and he fought a heavyweight. I just think like there's this open opportunity at the heavyweight division where it's like someone like Rampage, maybe it's Dan Henderson. I don't know if he's tall enough though, but like some of these guys, it's like, dude, why are you going into these killer weight classes when they desperately need heavyweights? And someone like Dan Henderson, what if he put on like 40 pounds of muscle and no one could take him down, and he had a right hand? And he just brought his right hand to the table and no one could take him down, and he just knocked everyone out. It's it's crazy, but it would be. Let's see what weight class, how tall he is. I'm just.
Well, while you're doing that, I think. Wow, I was driving and I was thinking about who's going to win this fight. I think. Oh God, it's gonna go. I got three things. Number one is what you said, Tommy. Will he pass the test? He could win the fight, but he could fail the test. I don't know if Vitor's what his physique looks like, but it's in Brazil. Okay, so Vitor got connections in Brazil and he knows people there. I'm hearing that you can take these drugs and you can, if you're not being, you can escape if if it's random, you don't know, if when Vitor takes these drugs, he'll be tested in a timely manner. You would hope that he would be tested, frequently, because if he uses it, he needs to be tested in 2 week increments, something like that. But I've covered shady past on USADA, the United States Anti-Doping Agency, and the CEO Travis Tygart. Their test is they don't test for synthetic testosterone. They don't use the carbon isotope ratio test. And they have a shady past. Basically, Floyd Mayweather used the intravenous IV at home and broke the law of the milliliters that he had injected inside of his body. He said it was saline and vitamins that could have masked a chemical agent, and a banned substance. Basically, Floyd got away with that. The USADA granted him a therapeutic use exemption, and that's how he got out of it. So USADA has a 6.1 ratio. Basically, if Vitor Belfort comes below 6.1, he will pass the test. All right, and it's a possibility Vitor could have used these drugs in advance if he doesn't have anyone who is on his team that can get him to pass this test, because evidently he needs a better, illegal doctor or whoever he's dealing with to get him to pass the test, because he failed flat out and it didn't even get released.
Mm-hmm.
And the confidence that Vitor speaks with amazes me. And it was crazy because there was a commentator who was at one of Vitor's fights, and the commentator, he had balls. Okay, Tommy. He basically said, is Vitor, on any type of performance enhancement? And everybody looked at him, and Vitor said some really nasty shit out of his mouth to that guy. And I thought that was so condescending. I know he has to protect his image and himself, but if I was doing it, I think that maybe I just would have been like, whatever, whatever you say. But to humiliate somebody because they asked you about something that you were currently doing.
Yeah.
It's no stranger. It's not a stranger. It's no stranger. It's not a doubt. It is beyond all reasonable doubt that me and you, Tommy Regerstein, we can't come out and say it, because if you come out and you say it, you can get yourself in trouble. You can get yourself sued, defamation of character. But you can say that he may have used performance enhancement drugs when he beat Rockhold, Bisping, and Henderson to become the 2013 Fighter of the Year, because that man did not look like the same man that I saw fight Chris Weidman.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
And people are very they want their win back. They feel ripped off. They feel cheated. Luke Rockhold wants to fight a Vitor who's not looking like a super strutter, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Luke Rockhold is doing amazing right now. I think Luke Rockhold is going to be champ. I think Luke's going to be the champ at that weight class. Mm-hmm. And he got caught with a head kick by Vitor. And
TRT Vitor?
TRT Vitor. Yeah, he got caught. I think he's the best in the division. I think he would stay on his feet and making a striking fight between him and Weidman. I think he wouldn't get taken down by Weidman. I think he'd be able to stay on his feet. Even if he did get taken down, his jiu-jitsu is good, and I think he'd work back up to his feet. And I think it'd be a striking fight. I think stylistically, Luke Rockhold is a really, really dangerous fighter for everyone. So everyone in that weight class, I think, doesn't match up well against Luke Rockhold. Just because his striking's that good. He's destroying everyone, dude. Weidman's good, but he's not destroying people like Luke Rockhold is. And if it wasn't for that head kick that he got caught with, yeah, Vitor did, catch him. It wasn't the other way around. Still, I think TRT Vitor won't be able to beat Luke Rockhold ever again. Never again. He gets one bite at the apple. That's it. He got lucky the first time. Never again. Any questions, Don? 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 Don, can you hear me? Damn it.
Hello?
Don, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Some severe technical difficulties. How did you feel about the opponents he beat in 2013? Because I knew he was on it. He knew he was on it. Did you just feel these wins really don't matter, or?
I don't think he'll be able to beat the people like he was able to beat people before. Like, his body's going to go through withdrawal from this. It's not going to be a physical withdrawal like heroin, where he's going to need it, but his body's going to, his body's getting used to that level of testosterone. When he loses that, it's going to be like, it's going to be emotional, it's going to be physical, it's going to be different. It's going to be a different change for him.
I see him, and doesn't he just look deflated?
He does. He does look deflated.
He trains all day long. Even though he trains very hard, still, it's just the level of testosterone that had made the muscle bulge out. Just all of that went backwards. So he looks normal now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I saw him against Whiteman, and what did you felt like after he did that explosion? He gassed himself out, because when you take steroids, it messes with your oxygen and your muscles, you know. So he really doesn't have the explosiveness or the wind like he had before, right?
Definitely.
Because he was so explosive.
He was really explosive. All right, well, I
Well,
want to cut this off.
Well, Tommy Razorstein, for Tommy Razorstein and the Don Juan Banks, we will catch you another time. Peace.
Peace out.